Welcome to Canada's podcast.
Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Canada's podcast. Joining me today is Don Ludlow, who is Vice President of Small Business, Business Financial Services Strategy and Partnerships for RBC. Thanks for joining us today, Don.
Thanks, Mario. Great to be here.
Well, let me just start. We're going to talk a little bit today about a recent survey and poll that RBC did regarding small business and small business owners. Before we get into that, I just want to ask a little bit about yourself. What's your role there at RBC and what's your background?
Sure. Well, thanks. So I'm the Vice President for Small Business and BFS Strategy. So I'm responsible in particular for our small business segment, which is a critically important segment for RBC and the Canadian economy as a whole. And then I also help out with our broader business financial services strategy. So really, how do we help all business owners across Canada? I've been at RBC for about 20 years. Most of that time has been in business and commercial banking, a lot of it in client-facing roles. And right now I'm in the headquarters. So all kinds of different ways I've spent over the years helping entrepreneurs and business owners. And I just love the work.
All right. So you, as you've mentioned, you've got a big history with the entrepreneurial community. When you looked at some of these survey results that came out from the recent poll you guys did, what were some of the key things that struck you from these results?
Yeah, I think one thing really stood out, and over the pandemic, we certainly saw a rise in interest in entrepreneurialism. I think this survey in particular, what really stood out, if you gave it a headline, it would be the rise of the micro entrepreneur, and really this growing interest in people to start, a very small, nimble business, but sometimes would be referred to as a side hustle for a variety of reasons, and just a growing interest amongst a majority of Canadians in that.
So tell me, how would you describe that? Like, what is a micro entrepreneur, and how small? Like, I guess it would be one person, right?
Yeah, sure. Often just starts with one person and do it on the side. So they would have perhaps a regular source of income, and they're testing a new idea and getting it going and trying to dive into entrepreneurialism and business ownership. And that's there's a lot of different, I think, reasons for that in this particular moment in time, many of which are understandable. I think Canadians told us a huge part of this is inflation and the rising cost of living. So 74% of entrepreneurs or business owners or people thinking of starting a business cited the rising cost of living and inflation as a main motivation behind that. And that actually increased to 84% for Gen Z and millennials. And I think too, there's some other things that have made it easier to start up a micro business or a small business. It's easier to be an entrepreneur because of all the many digital solutions that are out there now that can make it quick and simple and very cost effective to start and run a business. And I think too, there's tremendous support right now across Canada for local businesses and small business owners. So a lot of things at play here that are, causing people to start up these little side hustles, probably hoping to grow them into a main business someday.
Now, when you mention them as being side hustles, I presume a lot of them, and probably the majority of them, are something that someone is really interested in, something they have passion about, right?
I think almost always, yeah. And in fact, that's a common thread amongst many business owners that I've encountered over the years. Is there's just something that piqued their interest, a problem to solve, an opportunity. So something clearly that they're excited and passionate about. And I think the pandemic, while I never underestimate the real challenges that created for so many people and business owners as well. However, it also gave a lot of people a chance to pause and reflect and think of new opportunities, or maybe pivot a bit on the path that they're on. And so I think that has also helped spur a lot of entrepreneurialism, just new opportunities that people see, and a sense of like, hey, why not now?
For the entrepreneur in general, I know that I've heard and talked to a number of people that it's entrepreneurship is doing well in the sense that there's a lot of interest still out there for it, despite all the challenges. And that's what I was curious about. Despite all the challenges, you got rising costs, you've got supply chain issues, you've got interest rates, all this type of lack of labor, all these challenges there. But yet there is the appeal for entrepreneurship. Why is that?
Yeah, it seems a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it? That in the current environment, people are saying like, "Hey, I got a good idea. Let's start a business." I think there's a bunch of things behind that when you dive into it. For example, 8 in 10 Canadians that we surveyed cited the fact that one income is not enough, in their opinion, to achieve all the things that they wanted. So, a certain financial incentive to start something on the side, and then maybe hope that grows into something broader. So in fact, 77% of Canadians are thinking, yeah, I'd like it to start small, but hopefully it could grow into being my main support someday. So start off small and grow big. And I think that while it is a very challenging environment, there were a lot of things that the pandemic became a catalyst for. And one of them is the digitization of many aspects of business and reaching customers and all that. So in some ways, I think it's also become a lot easier for people to actually envisage themselves and actually execute on being a small business owner. And this is particularly prevalent, perhaps not surprisingly, amongst millennials and Gen Z as well.
All right, super. You did mention a little bit, Don, about technology. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about that and elaborate more on the fact that, what the role is of technology in this day and age to enable, well, first of all, to enable businesses to start up and to get going, and then B, to support them while they're up and running.
Yeah, a couple of ways to think about that. The first is just the incredible acceleration of e-commerce and the ability that gives small businesses a chance to go global. So you can reach pretty much anyone in the world now quickly and efficiently through e-commerce. I think also the ability to work online or work remotely or work from home and be very flexible in your work arrangements has also spurred a bit of entrepreneurialism. And again, I think that it's not just e-commerce, but the rise of digital solutions. There's so many tools out there, digital tools right now, that can really simplify the operation of a small business. Whether that's managing your expenses, handling your shipping, managing your inventory, digital payments, and all kinds of ways of moving money around. So technology is really a strong undercurrent of this whole rise of entrepreneurialism, I believe.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people really don't give the technology the credit as due right now in terms of some of the business aspects of growth. And you mentioned the ability to hit global markets, and I'm just thinking, even like for myself personally, I'm doing work now for people that are in Montreal or in Toronto or in Vancouver. I'm based in Calgary. But that's the opportunity that gives the micro entrepreneur as well, right? The ability to expand beyond their geographical location.
Yeah, and I think it really streamlines and enables a lot of things that perhaps you might rather not spend your time on. If you're a passionate entrepreneur, you want to spend every waking moment on the things that give you the most delight in everything. So I think technology is an enabler to allow people to do that and focus more on their customers and their business and the things that they really got into business for.
Let's talk a little bit about consumers. Obviously, we've been through a couple of very interesting years, to put it lightly. Lots of changes in consumer behavior and preferences and how they shop and buy things. What impacts that had on entrepreneurs?
Yes, well, so as we've had this sort of strong desire amongst Canadians to start a business, we've also, on the receiving end of that, had a really welcoming environment for entrepreneurs amongst the Canadian population. Very strong local support. 71% of Canadians say they want to support and will support with their spending dollars small local businesses. So significant amount of community support. I think there's also a belief that small businesses innovate more rapidly and are better to adapt to change. And we certainly saw that in the pandemic, where entrepreneurs and small business owners had to pivot, overnight, in hours, really, and did. And that's not to downplay the challenges they faced, but it really spurred a ton of innovation and pragmatism, and really showed the resiliency. And I think also Canadians believe that small businesses perhaps are just better at customizing and tailoring their solutions and getting to know you. So a very welcoming environment for small business owners and entrepreneurs all across Canada right now.
So, Don, why did RBC conduct this survey?
Yeah, well, as I said, we're passionate about businesses, and for me in particular, small businesses. We really believe it's the engine of the Canadian economy, and so because that's important to us, we like to talk to entrepreneurs and understand what's going on in their minds, so that we can help them out, understand where they're at, and be right there with them. So we run these surveys periodically, and just to understand where they're at, a bit of a pulse check. And this most recent one has been very revealing, I think.
Well, let's talk a little bit about RBC. Obviously, known for its banking services, but when it comes to entrepreneurs, tell me what else is available and what resources are in place for entrepreneurs to tap into.
Yeah, sure. All kinds of ways that we can help entrepreneurs and small business owners. And I think a great place to start, if you're thinking about starting a micro business or a business of your own, is the RBC Small Business Navigator site, which is an online site that's got a wealth of tools and resources and insights and guides that can help you think through and start up a business. And then once you've decided you want to take the plunge, I would suggest that you check out Owner, which is OWNR, and it's a application that allows you to register and incorporate a small business in a very short period of time. Really economical, fast, and efficient, and easy to do. So it can get you started really quickly. And then once you're up and running, we've got a bunch of other tools. One that I really love is RBC Insights Edge, which once you're up and running, it can help you understand so much about your existing customers and where you can find more like them. So great insights to help you grow your business.
I guess that's all really important, right, for an entrepreneur, because sometimes the challenge of being a new entrepreneur can be a little daunting and overwhelming. To think about all this other stuff, and quite frankly, you probably don't have much of a business background. You have an idea, I'm going to sell this widget. And so having those resources in play really gives you, I guess, a little bit of peace of mind, right?
I think so. And I think I would add, talking to people, whether you're thinking of starting up a business or if you're a small business owner already, it can be a bit lonely. It can seem a bit daunting. And running a small business is challenging on the best of days, but you never have to go it alone. And so I think it's important to talk to people out there and build a network, almost like an informal advisory council, whether that's local small business owners, companies that are like you, your lawyer, your accountant, other people, your customers. And of course, we love to talk to business owners and entrepreneurs at RBC. So if you're looking for someone to talk to, come by and see us as well. We'd love to have a chat with you.
Well, speaking of daunting, obviously, depending on what industry you're in and what business you're doing, it can be very challenging going up against the quote unquote big guys, right? Some of these major companies, and we won't mention them by names, but what advice would you give, a smaller entrepreneur in terms of meeting the challenges of competition from the big guys, and especially in these rising cost environment days?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think first it's being really crisp and clear on your core offering, and how do you get sharp at that? Like, speak to your clients, see what the problem or opportunity is that you're solving for them, where they understand value, and that's something that a small business owner or entrepreneur can do easily because they're so close to their customers each and every day. So take advantage of that and understand what's working and what's not. So be crisp and clear on that. I'd also say plan. Plan for the unexpected. If anything learned over the past couple of years, having some plans and a bit of contingency plans is a good thing to do. And look at, how do you digitize your business? Because it used to be that digitization was something that was only accessible to the largest companies with the big budgets. But in fact, there's so many tools and resources now that are available at a very affordable price to small businesses to help them run and get all the benefits of technology in their companies at a very small level that it used to be big companies would have, and take advantage of all that tremendous goodwill that you have locally. In fact, 34%, I believe, or almost 40% of the people we surveyed, the entrepreneurs, have said that strong local support has encouraged them to get into starting a business and everything. So, tap that local goodwill that you have.
When you talk to entrepreneurs these days, and even in the past, what's the big driver for them to doing what they do?
I think many things. I think that I full disclosure, I'm married to a business owner. My wife owns a number of bakery stores here in Toronto. I think it's the ability to really own something and make a difference in the lives of people, their community, their employees, their customers. And I think that's what really drives a lot of entrepreneurs, is that desire to make a difference, and to really, have that be theirs, and have that control and ability to own the dream and make it happen. That can also be quite daunting, but I think it's what drives them. And I know, speaking to an awful lot of business owners, they kind of say, I could never go work in a large company, or I could never go back to one if I worked there before, because that freedom and independence and that control over each and every day of their lives is a tremendous motivator. And seeing that difference in their communities, it goes, I think it goes to a lot to their motivation.
Okay, not to put you on the spot, Don, but I'm just curious if you have any numbers off the top of your head about the impact that small business has on the overall Canadian economy.
Oh gosh, I don't have the detailed numbers, but a few to think about. I do know that some of the largest increases in jobs and net new jobs created come from small businesses across the country. And of course, there's millions of businesses and small businesses across the country, and collectively, they're a huge driver of the Canadian economy. That's not to say that large corporations and mid-sized companies aren't either, but those small businesses each and every day are huge creators of wealth and jobs and innovation across Canada. So, I think we as Canadians should really want our small businesses to be strong, and I think we should be very proud of the fact that we have, a very entrepreneurial economy, and that entrepreneurialism is alive and well.
All right. So how can our listeners or viewers reach out to you and RBC? They want more information or more help in any way?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think I'd start with rbc.com and the RBC Small Business Navigator. And if you want to reach out and talk to someone, there's definitely numbers there where you can reach some of our online advisors or virtual advisors, or just come in and see us at a local branch as well. We're always happy to talk with anyone and see how we can help you with your dreams.
All right. In closing, Don, any final words of wisdom for entrepreneurs in this country? whether they be established entrepreneurs or people who have got an idea and they're just thinking about it?
I think I would just say talk to someone. Share those dreams and ideas, and that will help you evolve your thinking, and will give you the courage and enthusiasm and support and confidence to dive in and make those dreams into reality.
All right. Thanks for joining us today, Don.
Thank you, Mario. Great to be here.
All right. That was Don Ludlow, who is Vice President of Small Business, Business Financial Services Strategy, and Partnerships with RBC. I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Canada's Podcast. Thanks for joining us today.